Okay, everyone. So I thought I'd go live on YouTube this time around. Change it up a little bit. Why not? I usually go live at 5, that's Eastern time, on Fridays. So live at 5 on Fridays on Facebook. But I figured as this is a one-off, I'd just do it through YouTube and then maybe copy this video across. So anyway, I've got hat hair, toque hair, as we call it in Canada, from being outside and wearing my what Americans would call a beanie. And we call them toques. But hey, that's dialects. So anyway, I figured I would just point you in the direction of my beautiful, colorful IPA chart. Now, most of my people will know what the IPA is. And for those of you who do not, you're about to find out. So the IPA, that of course is a delicious kind of beer, India Pale Ale. But that's not the IPA that I'm going to be talking about now. In fact, this kind of IPA is the International Phonetic Alphabet. And that is actually the largest alphabet in existence. And that is because it is an alphabet that is used to transcribe any language, in fact, any dialect or any accent accurately on the page. And the people that usually use this are, it spans runs the gamut, really, of people from linguists, field linguists, people that are annotating languages that are not written, don't have their own alphabets already, of which there are thousands of those, and most of those are dying. And so, of course, a lot of field linguists will use IPA to write down exactly how certain words are pronounced in those languages before they're lost forever. So linguists are one type of person that uses the IPA. Other people that use the IPA to some degree are teachers, language teachers, and others are, of course, dialect coaches and actors. Some actors use it as well to write down how certain words are pronounced in a particular accent. So that is why I have a form of the IPA chart on my website. And as you can see, here is the address to go and find those charts. And I'll just tell you a little bit about why I created this chart several months back, but it's only recently that I've put the final touches and completed these charts. And let's go and have a look at it right now. So if you go to talklikeThat.com/IPA, you will see something like this. A very uninspiring page, but really this is just it's a list. It's a two-part list right now. And you'll see that the first one is consonants and the second one is vowels. So this is, as most of us were taught in school, the alphabet is made up of consonants and vowels. And we were told that, vowels were A, E, I, O, and U, and sometimes Y, and that consonants were all the other letters. But if you ever ask yourself, well, what is a vowel? What makes the letter A a vowel and the letter B a consonant? We were never taught that at school. We were just told, remember, these are the 5 vowels. In actual fact, there are more than 5 vowels in the English language. Of course, the alphabet that we use is called the Roman alphabet, or the also called Latin alphabet, of course, because the creators of that alphabet, or I should say the adapters of the alphabet into the Roman one as we know it, were the Romans, and they spoke Latin. Okay, so pretty obvious, really, when you think about it. It's not called the English alphabet because, of course, it is used by many other languages. It is the most used alphabet around the world. So there are, hundreds, if not thousands, of languages that use the Roman alphabet. the way we use the Roman alphabet. In English, we only use 26 letters. And out of those 26 letters, 5 of those are considered vowel sounds. So I will tell you what vowels are in a little while, but I just want to make a distinction between the Roman or Latin alphabet, which is what we use to write English, and this, the International Phonetic Alphabet, which is used to write any other language or dialect or accent, right? So basically, I just want to, from the outset, make sure you know that distinction, that the IPA is international, as it is called, the International Phonetic Alphabet. It is phonetic, one letter. Each letter represents one sound, unlike the Roman alphabet, especially as it's used in the English language, where one letter can represent a number of different sounds, depending on where it is in a word and what that word is and where that word was borrowed from. Because let's face it, just like the British Empire, the English language is kind of a robber baron. Like, it's stolen a lot of, we call it borrowing. We borrowed a lot of words from a lot of other languages and cultures, which is why it's such a rich language. Just like the British Empire was such a rich empire, because it borrowed things, or, it stole stuff like land and imposed its culture on many millions of people. So that is why so many people are speaking English or trying to learn how to speak English and how to read English. It's an awful language to learn how to read. It's spread throughout through imperialism. So anyway, that's the horrible story of it. So you've got the Roman alphabet, which is what we adopted from the Romans. Actually, we adopted that through religion. And so that's another reason why English is a terrible language to read and write with, because we're using a foreign alphabet and trying to adapt that Roman alphabet to a Germanic language, which is what English essentially is. We did have our own alphabet before we took on the Christian religion, along with the Bible and the Roman alphabet and Latin and so on. That was called the Futhark. The original alphabet we used in Germanic languages was called the Futhark, which you've probably seen in movies like the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and so on, right? And aside from that, so we have this alphabet that's barely adequate to represent English. And then there is this other alphabet, the International Phonetic Alphabet, which has more than 200 letters and a lot of what you might call accents, or more accurately, so as to avoid confusion, diacritics. So these little squiggles that go above or next to or under a symbol. And these symbols, these 200 plus symbols, each one of them represents a sound that is used in a language somewhere on this planet. There are more than 6,900 languages still spoken, but they are dying off at a rate of 1 every 2 weeks. Actually, probably now in the COVID era that has most likely increased. So anyway, I don't want to get sentimental about dying languages, but it's used to represent those languages too. So I just wanted to introduce to you, in case you didn't know already or needed a reminder of what the IPA is used for and why it is such an amazing alphabet and system. It was invented by a French linguist. I think he was a linguist way back, I think in the 1880s. French dude called Paul Passy. And he started it off, and of course it's been added to over the decades, more and more symbols, as linguists have come into contact with more and more languages and discovered more and more speech sounds that are used. And they wanted to obviously be able to note those down accurately if they're distinctive from another speech sound. Anyway, So that is a very basic introduction to the International Phonetic Alphabet. And I'm going to now go on to tell you my original thing, which was the difference between vowels and consonants. So basically, a consonant is a speech sound in which the air, which is how the sound comes out through the mouth and nose. It's a speech sound where that air is not obstructed a consonant is one in which the air is obstructed in some way. So either the tongue is getting in the way, it could be the tongue and the teeth are getting in the way, or it could be the lips or the upper lip and upper lip, no, lower lip and upper teeth are getting in the way of the airflow, and that is what makes the distinctive sound of that speech sound, and that makes it a consonant. On the other hand, if a speech sound is not restricted in some way, the airflow is not restricted, and it just flows through, and the distinctive shape of the air space is created by the shape and position of the tongue. But the tongue is not actually touching, it's not restricting the air, it's just changing the shape of the space through which the air flows. So it's not obstructing the air in any way. So that is a vowel. So those are the two distinctions, the main distinctions of speech sounds, consonants and vowels. So and I just put, you can see on here, I've only got two on the list at the moment. They're consonants and vowels. Those are the main ones. They are pulmonic vowels in this chart here. I'll explain what pulmonic consonants. All vowels pretty much are pulmonic. So pulmonic basically means to do with the lungs. So this means that the sounds are made from pushing air, getting the lungs to push air up and out through the head, through the mouth and nose. And there are non-pulmonic consonants that are used in some languages, and you'll see those in other IPA charts. So for example, click sounds that you'll hear in a lot of Bantu languages and other languages, but most of those click languages, as they're informally called, those exist in different places around the continent of Africa. So you get clicks like the bilabial click, sounds like a kiss. You get one that sounds like a tut, and those are different types of clicks that are used as speech sounds in different languages. Those are not on this chart, okay? This chart is for pulmonic consonants. So these are the ones that are not made by clicks. They're not made by closing off the glottis, like, which I call the beatbox sounds. Those are called epenthetic vowels. So those are not made like, right, where there's air being pushed up directly in through the throat. So these are the pulmonic ones. These are the ones, and as you can see, this is a beautiful chart. The usual charts that you get that represent the IPA sounds are just plain black and white, and that's okay. But this is awesome, obviously. Let me explain some of the the ideas behind my design of this. I'm not saying that this is revolutionary at all. This is just my take on the IPA chart. So I've just kind of added a few things to this. What I've added to the IPA, because I love the IPA charts, this is my attempt to make a slight improvement on it, right? So not only is it pretty, but I've added, of course, I've added color and I've added shapes to each of the symbols. And really, this was a project that I began because I thought, I can. So I figured I'd do it. And I was bored at the time. It did take many man hours to do. And it's a project that I started some months back, but then kind of forgot about. But here we go. This is a little bit more explanatory, and I think it's a bit easier to access. It's more accessible than your standard IPA chart because, first of all, the colors, each of the colors represents part of the mouth, different parts of the mouth, the articulators, as they are also called. So you can see that these ones at the front are red. So the red ones are, as you see that the label comes up, they're bilabial. Bilabial, basically bi from Latin meaning two, labial to do with the lips. So bilabial sounds are made with the two lips there. Upper lip touches lower lip, okay? So all of these sounds here, and by the way, this is interactive, so when you click on it, you will hear, oh, actually, I got the sound coming out. The sound's coming out through my headphones, so you might not be able to, I'm pretty sure you won't be able to hear these sounds being made on this live video. You'll have to go and try it yourself. Oh, by the way, make sure you do it using a computer, laptop or desktop, because I don't think I have this set up to work on a cell phone. It doesn't work so well on a cell phone because the image takes up a lot of space, and it's hard to navigate using your phone. So I don't have this set up to work on a cell phone. Anyway, if you go through to talklikeThat.com/IPA, this one is IPA-consonants-Pulmonic. But if you go through to that /IPA, then you'll see the link there, which will take you through to this chart. So, like I said, the colors represent different parts of the articulators inside of the mouth, or the head, if you like. All the voice articulators, right from the lips, right through down to the glottis. So at the back here, these sounds like those, like as in hello. Those are glottal sounds. That's called a glottal. Oh, and if you mouse over, put your cursor over one of the symbols, and it will tell you what it is called. So a voiced glottal fricative. Sorry, that's a voiceless glottal fricative. So again, that's the colors. The colors show you where in the mouth the tongue is touching or coming near or whatever it's doing as to what makes that sound. So the color is place. Then you'll see that most of these are in pairs. So just as it is in a regular IPA chart, you'll see that in those pairs, the one to the left is voiceless, okay? So the voiceless shapes are the ones that have the outline. That means the voice box is not vibrating. And the voiced ones are the ones with it's filled in with color, okay? So for example, as in pizza, the one to the left is voiceless, and the one to the right, b, as in box, or baby, that is voiced. So the filled in ones are voiced. Okay, so that's the pairs. And then, of course, each of them has a different shape. And the shape of each one of these is actually the manner of articulation, as opposed to the location, as opposed to where the shape is, where the sound is taking place. It's actually the shape around the symbol is how it is taking place. So, for example, all of the hexagonal shapes here, those are stops. So basically, the reason I made that hexagonal was because it kind of looks like it's the shape of a stop sign, right? So stop, right? You get it? See what I did there? Yeah, I know. I'm a genius. And then you've got the nasal ones here, like this one is and this one is n. So all of these are nasals, right? And I think it's pretty obvious why I made it that shape. it looks like a nose, right? It's kind of a nose shape. You get that, right? And so all of those ones are nasals. That means that the sound is actually coming not through the mouth, but actually through the nose. Yeah. And then you'll see other shapes like trills. So it's like a wobbly at the edges there. So brrr, and and this one is brrr. Okay. So those are trills where there's a rapid movement, and then the uvula one back here.
Ra,
That one.
ra.
Those are trills, and then you've got the shapes like this one where this is to represent two things coming together, like from the left to the right, they come together, touch quickly, and then move away. So that's a tap, right? So it's a tap where the tongue taps on something. So for example, this one here, this tap actually looks like a tap in the IPA symbol. So that tap is ra, ra. So that is the voiced alveolar tap, ra. And we have that in English. It's an allophone, meaning another sound. It's an allophone of T. So, for example, in accents like Australia, New Zealand, North American accents, almost all of the North American accents, but not in British accents, except mine, because mine's kind of half British, half Canadian, because like I just said, British. Canadian would say British. British person would never say British. So that is the tap. It better, butter, British. That's a tap. Your tongue is tapping. So it's an allophone of T in English. In other languages, it might be an allophone of a different phoneme or sound, speech sound altogether. But in English dialects or English accents, some English accents, it's only really an allophone of that T. In most cases. It could sometimes be an allophone of R in some others too. So you can see these shapes are the manner of articulation, like I said. So frictive, where the sound is made by a restriction of the airflow and the air is pushing through. So that's the frictive sound. Lateral frictive, that means it's coming down the sides. That that one there, as in llandidno or llanfair pwllgwyn llantysilio gogogoch, which is the short version of that really, really, really long name in Wales. And they just made that up just to get more tourism going. And approximants, that's, approximant is when the tongue or another part of the mouth comes close to touching but doesn't quite touch. So it's approximately there. So as you can see there in the symbol, the two shapes don't touch. They're close, come close, whereas the lateral approximant is when you've got like the center part of the tongue is touching, but the others, so the l as in lovely, l is when only the tip of the tongue is touching, but the sides of the tongue are not touching at all. The sounds are coming down the sides. So those are basically, those are the pulmonic consonants, okay? I'm just going to go return back to the list and then go into the vowels just very quickly. So you can see that the vowels are in more or less the same position as they are in a regular IPA chart, except that I've made it a bit more because, hey, I'm a graphic designer by trade originally. And so I just wanted to make it pretty, and I wanted to make it symmetrical. You see, I was searching for that word and it finally came. When you get into your 50s, you'll understand that, it takes a bit of time for the library to pick a word out. So it's more symmetrical, and you'll see that the colors are a little bit different as well. And also, you'll see that all those vowels are there. This is like the other chart. This is also interactive. So when you click on it, it will play the vowel, which you can't hear right now, I don't think. But when you go through to IPA dash vowels, then you'll be able to click on these and hear them being spoken. Okay, and of course, when it comes to vowels, those are distinguished by two main things. One is, or I should say three, because the first one is how close the tongue is to the upper, like to the hard palate inside the mouth. So like how close they are is up here. These are the close vowels up here. E, U, E, U, U, right? So all of those, the tongue is really close, and how open it is. So this is where the jaw is more open, the tongue is further away. Ah, oh, ah, oh. Okay, so these are like kind of closer together in terms of where the tongue is, but the tongue is further away from the hard palate of the mouth. So so that is how close or open it is. And another distinguishing feature of vowels is how front, as you can see, this is the mouth behind. So that gives you a clue as to whereabouts in the mouth this is all happening. So how front the tongue is or how back it is. So E and A, yeah. Okay, if I go from here, E, yeah, the tongue is at the front all the way down there. Whereas with these, those are at the back. The tongue is at the back in that case. So these are the back of the mouth. These are the front of the mouth. And the most central one, which I call the lazy vowel, it has a name of its own. This vowel sound is called schwa. And there's a long history behind it, which I won't bore you with. You can look it up. SCHWA. Find out what schwa is. But schwa is the most spoken sound, the most spoken speech sound in the English language, in pretty much any dialect, really. Any native dialect or accent of English. So is spoken a lot because it is basically almost every vowel. It represents almost every vowel in unstressed syllables in the language. So there's okay, so that's what we call a central vowel. And yeah, so those are the vowels. Now, what I also have here is, so that's like the first indicator of the distinction of a vowel from any other vowel is the position of the tongue in the mouth. But the other one that I haven't mentioned is rounding of the lips. So lip rounding. So you'll see that the shapes, if you look closely, each of these triangles, they come in pairs. But you'll see that some of them have sharp edges and some of these triangles have rounded edges, right? If you look very closely. So basically the one with the rounded edges, that means that the lips are rounded. So that's the difference between E and U, because in U, the tongue is in the same position. It is close in front, but the lips are rounded in the one on the right of the pair. And that's the same for all of these. And that's pretty much all there is to that. Now, the one thing that I don't have in these charts is I don't have the diacritics in there, which exist in the original charts that you can find. You can find those on Wikipedia. You can find all of the charts on Wikipedia and various places. There's great resources out there. But again, this is just my adaptation of it, just to, it was like my own little passion project, if you like, to make things prettier and a bit more accessible and a bit more memorable for people that find the regular IPA symbols kind of a little bit difficult to remember if you're not using them over and over again every day. If you're not a linguist or a dialect coach, then the IPA might be something that you come to every once in a while. And some people might come to it and think, oh no, I can't get with this. I can't remember all the different symbols. It's like some kind of weird mathematics, or like they're like magical symbols. Well, what is magical about these symbols is that once you get familiar with them and you get to know them well, and especially with an interactive chart like these, then when you familiarize yourself, you can use them with confidence and you'll remember what it was that you wrote down. When you heard a particular word being pronounced a certain way, rather than trying to write it out using the Roman alphabet that you use to write English and most other European languages, instead of trying to adapt that in a very shoddy, haphazard way, you can use this in a very methodological way. Oh, that's a tricky word on a Friday, any day. And you can use it with confidence. Write these things down with confidence and know how it sounds when you look at it. Okay, I hope that's been useful for you. If it has, then please comment below. If it wasn't useful, if you found it completely useless, also comment. Okay, and I'm sure I'll be back at some point pretty soon with something completely different to do with accents, dialects, acting, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. And everybody stay safe, wear those masks, and keep your distance. Bye.